All right, we're back. We're on page 192, and we're just going to keep going. So we're trying to write parametric equations. What are we doing? So parametric equation centered at the origin, starts at the indicated point, taking the indicated amount of time, going in the indicated direction. Okay, so a lot. So I think what's useful for these is to start with a sketch. Doesn't need to be a great sketch, just needs to be a circle, basically. And then it can be useful, I suppose, to have the coordinates like on your circle, but it's not really necessary. But also, I find that I am way more dismissive of the usefulness of graphs than like other people. So if you're learning this, if you're in someone else's class, they might have different requirements. That's certainly fine. That's their prerogative. So we need to start here at t = 0, and then this will be 5. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, the period needs to be 60 seconds, so 2 pi over b is going to have to be 60, which means that b is going to have to be pi over 30. All right, now, there's multiple ways that you can come up with the equations, and a lot of it depends on how comfortable you are with trig functions. So when I look at this, I think that what's going to happen, where are we going, clockwise? You also have to know clockwise versus counterclockwise, which is not one of my strong suits. So clockwise is this. All right, so think about what x is doing, right? So x, here's the middle value for x. Here's the maximum value. Here's the minimum. So what's going to happen is x is going to start in the middle and go toward a maximum. Which of the trig functions does that? Which one starts in the middle and goes toward a maximum? It's got to be sine. So this is one way to do it. So you think about x. So it's going to start in the middle and go toward a maximum. So the biggest x go to a maximum. So that's got to be sine. Therefore, sine. What's y doing? So y, here's the middle. Here's the maximum y you can have. Here's the minimum. Y is going to start at a maximum and go toward the middle. I mean, if it starts at a maximum, you already know what it is. It's going to start at a max. Therefore, it must be positive cosine, right? Because that's what they do. Now, the alternative approach, so I'm going to write my equations. So x is, y is, so the radius of the circle is 5. And then we said x, so it's going to be 5 sine of pi over 30t. And this should be 5 cosine of pi over 30t. And then t, I don't know. I'm just going to say t is greater than or equal to 0. Go forever. Just keep circling. The alternative approach is you look at the components, right? And so I'll do it like for, well, I'll probably do it for both. X. I wish that it would auto shape faster. I feel like I spend a lot of time just waiting for this thing to snap in. So this will be at 60, 30, 45, and 15. So for x, for example, at 0, we're going to be at x is 0. And then you go up to 5, you go down to -5. When you get to t = 15, you're at x is equal to 5. So you've gone up here. And then you just keep going around. And then you write your equation based on this. Totally fine. Doesn't matter which one you want to use. I think that the kind of intuitive one is a little easier. It's definitely less work, which, if I know most people, is an appealing fact. So if we do y and then t, this is t. Y starts at a maximum, and then it's going to go toward a minimum. I mean, there's no real choice there. So here, 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 and that's how you can get your positive cosine. Any way you want to do it is good. It's just, you know, different skills, different thought processes, like however you want to think about it. Counterclockwise is actually one word, so those should be together. Let's take a look at this one. So I'll start with a picture, and then immediately, as soon as you get equations, you know what you should do? Jump over to GeoGebra, graph them, see if it worked. Circle, do it, and then, pretty good. All right, so this is where you're going to be at t = 0. We are going counterclockwise, which I tend to think of counterclockwise as just unit circle. You're going in the direction of the unit circle, which means this. And then it takes 448 days. So that's annoying. So the period is going to be 448, which is 2 pi over b. So b is going to be pi over 224. That's like a weird value for b, but like, what are you going to do? So maybe this is like a planet that's going around a sun. Planets go on elliptical orbits, but they tend to be orbits that are so huge. They're like, the eccentricity is really, really close to zero. Like they're almost circles. I think in my experience, and not in my experience, what am I like out there making planets? I think I have read that. Check it out. Wikipedia has good articles about that kind of thing. All right, let's see. So think it through. Ordinarily, I don't even write this when I'm thinking it through. X. This is the middle x value. This is the low, and this is the minimum, I should say, and this is the maximum. So we're going to start at minimum, and there's only one trig function that does that. So start marker. Start at minimum. Therefore, what does that? Negative cosine. All right, the y value. So what's y going to do? This is the minimum. No, it isn't. That's the middle. This is the middle y value. This is the minimum. So you're going to start in the middle and go toward a minimum. What starts in the middle and goes toward a minimum? Well, let's say start at middle, go toward minimum. Therefore, what does that? Negative sine. Okay, so I think I'm ready to do this. And then I know the radius is 6 because this is 6. So let's write our equation. So x is, y is, all right, so negative cosine. So negative 6 cosine. B we said is pi over 224 t. And then sine, we also said is negative. Negative 6 sine of pi over 224 t. And then let's just let t be greater than or equal to 0, right? Like at one moment, we invented this planet. That was t equals 0, and then it's just going to keep going forever, hopefully. Probably not. I think planets have like degrading. Do planets have degrading orbits? I don't know. Like, is the Earth locked in? Like, we're never getting out of the sun? Not that we want to, but like, that might be true. There's a lot of physics stuff that I don't know. Astrophysics, I guess. Because it's like, who's really paying close attention when you learn that? If you ever learn that, you probably learned that in like 5th grade. Some of it, at least. All right, let's do this. And you'll find if I say when I think something is learned, I'm almost always wrong. I have no concept of when you learn anything. Because like, I don't know, who pays attention? All right, 0, negative 12. So we're going to be, stop. Okay. Here at t equals 0, and the radius is 12. All right, and 25 seconds. So it's like you're here at 0, 25 over 4, 25 over 2, and then 3 times 25 over 4. I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm doing like fourths, but counting very strangely. So, all right, period. Oh, clockwise. Which way does the clock go? Anti-unit circle is how I prefer to think of it. So we're going that way. The period 25 is 2 pi over b. I always write that down, which I think like, I think people think it's cool to not write that down. I need to write it down to get it right, so I do it. What's x doing? All right, so we start in the middle and we go toward the minimum x value. So there's 3 like key values. There's a middle, there's a middle, a minimum, and a maximum. You start in the middle and you go toward a minimum, that's a negative sign. Middle to minimum, therefore negative sign. So now you know y is definitely a cosine thing, but is it positive or is it negative? Well, where does it start? It starts at the minimum, then it goes to the middle, then the maximum. So it's got to be negative. So this is start at minimum. Therefore, that's a negative cosine. Negative cosine. Okay, so, and then the radius is 12, because that's basically given. So let's write our equations. And you can always do the graphs of the components. It's not a bad strategy. I mean, it's like a good way to go. It's just like this, the more intuitive where you're like, oh, it starts in the middle and goes toward a maximum, so it's positive sign, or it starts in the middle and goes toward a minimum, so it's negative sign, or it starts at a maximum, so it's got to be positive cosine. That's just so much faster, and like why are you learning if you're not going to use the things you're learning, right? So negative 12 sine of 2 pi over. Usually that's like, I probably got everything wrong in this video, and I don't really think that's true. But since you're plugging it into GeoGebra and making it happen, you would know, and you would fix it, and you'll probably comment like a million times on the video if that's the case. All right, I think that's the work that I would do. So the strategy I use is I just think like, you know, here, this point, X is starting at a minimum, it's negative cosine. Y is starting in the middle and going toward a minimum, that's negative sine. So I go with that. And then, you know, so I don't have it memorized. Like a lot of people have memorized, like, oh, if you start here and do whatever, like, then that's blank. I think it's easy enough to think it through every time. And I actually kind of like thinking it through. So I think that's worth it to just like take a time and think about it. But whatever, however you want to do it. I'm going to cut this here, come back in the next one and do some more. So I will see you there.